Did you know that the ancient Greeks were so into werewolves that they had an entire cult dedicated to them? Yeah, you heard it right. We're talking about a werewolf fan club before it was cool. Now, when you think of ancient Greece, you might picture philosophers in togas, Olympic Games, and epic tales of gods and heroes. But there's a lesser-known side to this ancient civilization that's just as fascinating. In the shadows of these grand achievements, a peculiar cult flourished. A cult dedicated to the lycanthropic beings we know as werewolves. These were not your average folks. They held strange rituals and carried peculiar beliefs that might seem outlandish to us today. But in their time, they were a significant part of the fabric of society, a testament to the rich tapestry of Greek mythology and folklore. So buckle up, folks. It's time to travel back in time and explore the ancient Greeks' hairy obsession. Now, before we dive into the werewolf cult, we need to understand where this whole werewolf thing came from in the first place. The lore of the werewolf, a creature part man, part wolf, is deeply rooted in ancient mythology. Its origins can be traced back to the cradle of Western civilization itself, ancient Greece. The Greeks had a knack for weaving intricate tales and mythologies, and the werewolf was no exception. The first known reference to a werewolf comes from the epic of Heracles and Lycaon. Lycaon, a king who dared to challenge the might of Zeus, was turned into a wolf as a divine punishment. This tale introduced the concept of lycanthropy, the transformation of man into wolf, which became a recurrent theme in Greek folklore. The Greeks believed in the existence of these half-human, half-wolf creatures, and their tales were often cautionary ones. They served as a warning against offending the gods and acted as a metaphor for the beastly nature that can lurk within even the most civilized of men. The werewolf myth also played a significant role in rituals and cult practices. The Arcadian cults, for instance, would perform a ritual known as the Lycaea, where they believed men could transform into wolves. The transformation was seen as a form of divine punishment or a test of moral character. The story of Demarchus, an Arcadian boxer who was said to have turned into a wolf at the Lycaea and lived in the wild for 9 years before turning back into a man, further fueled the werewolf mythos. These stories and rituals deeply ingrained the werewolf into Greek culture, shaping the lore that we are familiar with today. The Greeks didn't just tell tales of gods and heroes, they also spun intricate stories of mythical creatures like the werewolf. These narratives, steeped in caution, morality and divine retribution, have stood the test of time. So, werewolves were not just a creation of Hollywood. The Greeks beat them to it by a few millennia. Now that we know werewolves were a big deal in ancient Greece, let's get to the juicy part, the werewolf cult. Unraveling the shroud of mystery, we find ourselves immersed in the enigmatic world of the ancient Greek werewolf cult. This wasn't some hush-hush cloak and dagger group skulking in the shadows. No, this was a cult that held a significant place in the society. It was an open secret, if you will. The cult was centered around the belief in lycanthropy, the transformation of man into wolf. The members, known as lycanthropes, shared a profound bond with the wilderness and the creatures inhabiting it. They believed themselves to be chosen, gifted with the ability to commune with the natural world in ways others couldn't comprehend. Their rituals were a sight to behold. Picture this: a circle of men and women bathed in the silvery light of a full moon, chanting in unison as they danced around a blazing fire. They wore wolf pelts, paying homage to their totem animal. The air was thick with a heady mix of fear and fascination, the energy palpable. A central practice of the cult was the werewolf rite, a transformative ritual that supposedly enabled the participants to shed their human form and embrace their inner wolf. The rite was conducted under the full moon, the time when they believed their power was at its peak. But what role did this cult play in society? Well, it held an interesting dichotomy. On one hand, they were feared and respected, their rituals and practices shrouded in awe and mystery. On the other hand, they were revered as protectors and healers. They were thought to harness the raw, primal energy of the wilderness, using it to ward off evil and cure ailments. In essence, the werewolf cult was a fascinating blend of fear and reverence, mystery and understanding, human and beast. It was a testament to the complex and intriguing nature of human beliefs and the lengths they would go to express them. I bet they didn't have to worry about a full moon ruining their night out. They probably looked forward to it. You might be wondering, how did the rest of society feel about this cult? Let's find out. In the grand tapestry of ancient Greek society, the werewolf cult was indeed a peculiar thread. As you might imagine, their practices and beliefs were met with a mixed bag of reactions. Some considered them as mere eccentrics, while others saw them as a threat to the established order. However, the cult's influence was undeniable, as it subtly wove itself into the cultural fabric of the time. The cult's fascination with transformation and the primal power of the wolf resonated with the Greek understanding of man's connection to nature. The werewolf, as a symbol, served as a potent reminder of humanity's capacity to transgress the boundaries of civilization and revert to a more primitive state. This concept was both intriguing and terrifying to the Greeks, leaving an indelible mark on their collective psyche. Yet this fascination didn't come without its share of troubles. The cult's practices often clashed with the societal norms of the time. Their moonlit rituals and the alleged transformation of men into beasts were seen as affronts to the gods. The cult faced considerable backlash, leading to conflicts and controversies that further solidified their outsider status. The werewolves, in their pursuit of freedom and power, challenged the very foundations of Greek society. They represented a wild, untamed force that refused to bow to the constraints of civilization. This defiance, while threatening to some, was inspiring to others. The cult's influence thus extended beyond its immediate circle, seeping into areas of Greek culture that are still visible today. In the end, the werewolf cult of ancient Greece was a paradox, a source of both fear and fascination. While the society at large struggled to understand them, the werewolves defiantly held their ground, their howls echoing through the ages. So it wasn't all fun and games being a werewolf in ancient Greece. It's tough being a misunderstood monster. So where did the werewolf cult go? Did they just fade away like a werewolf at sunrise? Let's find out. As the sun rose on the Age of Enlightenment, the werewolf cult of Greece seemed to melt into the shadows of history. Various factors may have contributed to its disappearance. The rise of Christianity, the evolution of societal norms, and the progression of scientific understanding all played significant roles in the cult's decline. The werewolf cult was a product of its time, steeped in superstition and fear of the unknown. As humans began to gain a better understanding of the world around them, the need for such cults diminished. The werewolf, once a symbol of dread and awe, was reduced to a mere mythological creature, a character in a story to be told around a campfire. But that's not to say the cult didn't leave a lasting legacy. Quite the contrary. The beliefs and practices of the werewolf cult were instrumental in shaping the werewolf mythology that we know today. The transformation of man into beast under the light of the full moon, the curse that is passed down through a bite or scratch, the vulnerability to silver, these elements can all be traced back to the werewolf cult of ancient Greece. Moreover, the werewolf cult played a significant role in the cultural evolution of Greece, influencing literature, art, and even philosophy. Its impact extended beyond the borders of Greece, shaping the werewolf folklore of many other cultures across Europe and beyond. The werewolf cult might be long gone, but its influence persists. Each time a werewolf howls in a movie or a story is told about a man turning into a beast, we are reminded of this strange and fascinating chapter of our history. Well, they may not be around today, but their howls still echo in the stories we tell. Well, there you have it, folks. The hairy history of the werewolf cult in ancient Greece. It's been a howling good time. We've clawed our way through the lore of the werewolf, unmasked the cult, and examined the footprint it left on society. We saw how this strange yet captivating belief system shaped our understanding of werewolves, giving us a whole new perspective on Bark at the Moon, and what a legacy it has left behind. From ancient Greece to your favorite horror movies, the influence of the werewolf cult is undeniably fascinating. Just remember, the next full moon you see might not be as innocent as it looks. It carries with it centuries of belief, myth, and a good bit of fur. So here's a question to ponder on. If you lived in ancient Greece, would you join the werewolf cult? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, keep howling.